Hi there, it's Carol with Carol B Crafts. Today is Throwback Thursday. Throwback Thursday is the day that I look through my stamp sets and I pick a stamp set or a bundle that I liked from previous catalogs. And today I've chosen Foxy Friends, which is a really cute stamp set. If you Google Foxy Friends, Stampin' Up! Foxy Friends, you'll see all kinds of cute little images that have been made with this stamp set, and there's squirrels and skunks and just unbelievable what people have done with these. So I have used mostly the punch with just a few of the stamps, and today we'll be making this card just for you, and inside is happy birthday. Now the stamp set doesn't come with any sentiments, so you could pretty much use any sentiments that you want. I used sentiments. The Just For You comes from the Bella and Friends right here, but I also looked at other stamp sets for images that might fit in there. The new Happy Birthday Gorgeous, you could put belated in there, celebrate, congratulations, forever young, happy birthday. A lot of these would fit in this little area. And then if you have that teeny tiny stamps or something, I don't know the exact name of it, but if you have that, I'm sure they would fit in there. And then if you have the Pocket Full of Sunshine, it has a For You, which I actually stamped out to see how it would look, and I'll show you. If you have that stamp set, you could do Just For You instead of having Just For You. You could have For You. And so it's very versatile. Just use the stamp sets that you have if you don't have the one that says Just For You. The Happy Birthday, that's a pretty big image, so it doesn't leave a lot of room to write anything, so you could make that bigger if you wanted to increase the size of that. Or you could use a smaller Happy Birthday, like this one right here from the Happy Birthday Gorgeous, or any other Happy Birthday stamp that you might have. Or you could make this card a thank you card, any kind of a congratulations card, any kind of card that you needed. It would be very versatile, and I do think it's kind of masculine looking. So any of your guy friends or sons or grandsons, stepsons, whatever, you could use this for them as well. Originally I made this last year. This is no longer available, this little ticket type thing, and then these colors are not available. But if you, I'm just showing you so that if you wanted to do like something with a fall theme, you could switch up the colors and do a red fox with the autumn colored trees and the autumn colored leaves in the front, instead of doing the green. But since it's kind of in the summer, I decided to try to do something green. Now these leaves come from the Flourish Thinlits, which we still have, but these leaves come from a little die, just a little leaf die from the Support Ribbon Framelits dies. I just think that's really cute, so I used that. I cut it out 7 times, 5 for the front and then 2 for the inside. So this is the card we'll be making today. So let's get started. Okay, the first thing that I did was I took a piece of crumb cake, 3 3/4 by 5, and all of these dimensions will be on my blog, www.carolbcrafts.com. So I put this in the Woodland folder. It's a 6 by 6 folder, and I just kind of put it in the middle here, just making sure it's straight. Whoops. Get it where I want it. Alright, so then well, it doesn't want to be straight. Let me get it in there just right. Close it quietly. There. Okay, so let me run this through the Big Shot and it will make an impression on my cardstock. Okay, so once I put this through the Big Shot, it has made like a little woodlands impression on my piece of crumb cake. The next thing I'm going to do is cut out this oval, and I'm using the largest oval from the Layering Oval Framelits dies. And I'm just going to center that in the center this way and cut that in my Big Shot again. Now you'll probably notice that there's a bit of an impression along the oval from the die, but I actually like that because it gives it kind of a framed look. So we don't need the centerpiece. Now we're going to put this die away, and the next piece we'll need is a piece of soft sky for the background, and it is going to be 3 3/8 by 4 5/8. And this is going to go behind this piece here, but we're not going to adhere it down yet because we still have some stamping to do on it. We just want to show you what it's going to look like. Now we'll go ahead and make our fox, and we need 3 pieces. We need Smoky Slate 3 1/2 by 5 1/4. We need Whisper White 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then lastly we need Basic Black for the nose, 3 inches by 1/2 inch. Now we'll get our punch, and I have learned the hard way that when you punch, you want to punch everything facing down, because if you don't, it's going to go flying and you'll never see the pieces again. So I'm going to go ahead and punch this out. Now the pieces that we'll need, we just need the head, the body, and the tail. The other pieces we can just put away. Now there's extra here if you want to make another one. Then the next thing we're going to punch out, we need the white. So we're going to punch out the white, and I'll punch it once. We'll need a tail, the eyes, and 1 ear, and 1 little fluffy, furry tail part there. The other parts, oh, there, the ear we need. These, the nose, the head, and the body, we don't need those. So we're going to punch it one more time. And this time we only need one of the little furry tail things, and possibly another eye and another ear. So the nose, the head, the tail, and the body we don't need. We don't need that tail. Okay, and then lastly, if you look, there's a little nose right here. We're just going to need one of those little noses. And there it is. So we have all of our parts. Well, actually, where's our other ear? There it is. Alright, now we have all of our parts. So before we put them together, we need to stamp the little legs on the fox, and we need to stamp the eyes on the little mask face of his or hers. And we'll need our Pierce mat for that. We'll be using Basic Black ink, archival ink that we have. And I have the little legs from the stamp set, and that is, make sure I get all any fuzz or anything off of there. This is on a B block. So let me bring the body up here, get some ink on my legs. I'm just going to put it in the center, just a little above the bottom. Let it sit for a minute so it can soak in. You want to make sure you have a good, your ink pad is well inked for this, because this cardstock does soak that ink in, and you won't get a good solid impression if you don't have a good inky ink pad. So we're done with our legs. Now we're going to do our eyes. Now it doesn't really matter about the nose, because we're going to actually put a little cardstock nose on there, but we do need to get the eyes there, and then the nose is going to be right there in that V there. So, and this is an interesting stamp. You don't want to push down at all hardly on this stamp, because if you do, you're going to get ink, and then you're not going to get a good impression. You're going to get ink where you don't want it. So I'm just going to barely tap it, but I do want to make sure I get it inked up well at the same time. So it's a little bit of a trick. The first time I used it, I think I did about 4 of these before I got one that I really liked. Maybe I'll get lucky today. Let's see, I'll just let it sit for a minute. Yay, I got lucky. Alright, so while we have our ink out, let's go ahead and stamp our sentiment. I have a piece of 3 inches by 2 inches Whisper White, and I'm going to use that for the front sentiment here, Just for You. I'm just going to do Just for You, and it looks like that one's good, so I only need to do 1, but if you needed to do 2, you could turn it over and do another one. We'll be cutting that out later. And then the inside sentiment, which is 3 by 3 Whisper White, 3 inches by 3 inches. Now if you wanted to do a different size, you could just make it a little longer, and then you'd have to adjust the size of the cardstock below it. But I'm going to be using Stylized Birthday, and it's just a big happy birthday stamp. So I'm going to ink that up. And this one comes on a wood block, and you do want to make sure you get it in the center. You have to really push kind of hard to get it where you want it. And this is almost the same size as the paper, which kind of helps you when you're trying to line it up. Alright, so I have, I'm going to take it off. And then we have our happy birthday. I'll set that aside to dry. And I think we're done with our black ink. The only other stamping we need to do right now is we need to get out chocolate chip. We need a piece of crumb cake, 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. Chocolate chip ink, and then our little stump from the Foxy Friends stamp set. We'll ink that up really good, and then we'll just stamp it down right here. And again, we want to make sure that it gets well situated, and I think I'm going to actually use my Stampin' jig, because as I recall, I wanted to get a better impression than I got. So I'm just going to go straight down, and hopefully this will give it a darker image. So we're going to let that dry, and then we'll be cutting that out with our snips. So I think we're done with our stamping now. So the next thing we're going to do is going to go ahead and cut out our little stump, and I'm going to use my snips for this. And I'm going to leave just a small amount of cardstock around the stump. I'm not going to go right up next to it, the image. I just think it looks better that way. Okay, so we have our stump. Now this stump is going to help us with our placement with our next stamping that we're going to do. And the next stamping that we're going to do is the trees. And here's that we're going to use the smaller trees stamp from the Foxy Friends. Now the inks that we're going to use are, we have 3 inks. We're going to use Pear Pizzazz, Always Artichoke, and Wild Wasabi. These are the 3 inks. I think those colors go well together. And so the first one we're going to start, the first thing we're going to do is figure out where we need to stamp our trees. You can see there's 1, 2, 3 trees there. So we're going to put this on, we're not going to adhere it down, but we're going to just put it where we think it's about even. And then we're going to slip our stump down here underneath, if we can. And we want it to be about right there. You want the tip of this stump to basically touch your this almost touch, like a hair in between. And then you're going to want your stump to go underneath, but just barely, just so that it's hidden. And then you're going to take your pencil and you're going to make 3 marks. You're going to make a little mark there, a little mark up there, a little mark here, 1 in the center of your stump, 1 on the side, and 1 on this side. So you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and you want just tiny little marks that you can erase. Now that's going to help us with the placement of our tree. So we're going to take our Pear Pizzazz, and we're going to use our marks. Back to stamping. And where I have that 1 mark on the left, that's where I'm going to put the stem of my tree, right there. And I think I'm going to use my Stampin' just in case I need more than 1 impression. Yeah, it's really light, so I'm going to do it again. Ink it up really good. Okay, then next we're going to do the Wild Wasabi. Okay, so Wild Wasabi, it's going to go where this second mark is, just above it. I'm going to use my Stampin' again, so I get a nice image. When you're using solid stamps like this, you usually have to stamp twice to get a good solid image, especially on colored cardstock. Okay, so that's our Wild Wasabi, and then the last one was going to be Always Artichoke in the middle. And where you see the middle mark, where the middle of the stump was, that's where we're going to put the Wild Wasabi. Well, not Wild Wasabi, Always Artichoke. Sorry, I'm getting my colors mixed up. Just let it soak in there. Alright, so we have our trees now, and that's all the stamping that we have to do. Now that's going to help us with placement of where to put our trees and everything else. So we're going to go ahead and erase those marks that we made with our pencil. Now the next thing we need is grass. So we're going to take some Pear Pizzazz. This is a piece of 3 3/8 by 1 1/2 of Pear Pizzazz, and we're going to take our snips and we're just going to make, like, instead of having this straight line across, we're just going to make it kind of wiggly, like it's not straight completely, because grass is not straight like that. Okay, so this shows you about what I cut off. And now we have squiggly grass instead of straight grass. And we're just going to put that right about there. But we want to make sure that it's going to be hidden by our frame. And it looks like it will be, so we'll go ahead and put that down with some adhesive. I can get rid of this now. We don't need that. And I just want it to cover up all of the bottoms of the trees like that. So now we're ready to put the stump here. And so we'll get our stump. And remember, we want it to be, we want the trees to be here, and we want the stump to be there. So let's see, it looks like my trees were taller there, so maybe we need to bring this down a little bit. There. So we want our trees up as high as we can get them, and that's about as good as we can get. So now we're ready to put our stump on. We'll do that with some glue, that way we can move it around if we need to. I'm just going to use little dots of glue. Okay, so we kind of want our trees straight and up at the top as far as we can get them. And if we have to cut some of the blue off, that's okay. But preferably not have to do that. And so my trees are kind of straight. Let me straighten them out. This is where the grid paper really comes in handy, when you've got to get things straight. Okay, so here's our stump, and it's going to go right about there. And now we're going to put this on. So we'll just take some snail and go around the circle, or the oval, sorry, not circle, oval. Go around the oval like this. Try to stay away from the inside. And I had to use 2 pieces of the waxy strip to do this one. So I put 2 pieces of waxy strip here. And got it so that it was even. Put this down. Okay, so now we're ready to make our fox. So let's see, where is our fox? Here's our fox. And we know that this is going to go on the front of his face. So we'll put that on with some glue. Again, I'll just use a few dots of glue. And I'm going to put him on his head on his body with a glue dot. Just going to put a glue dot there like beneath his nose, and kind of put it here. This little furry thing, now his tail, you want it so his tail is going up, and you want to make sure that his tail doesn't go over the oval, so that kind of gives you an idea of where you need to put his tail. But first we'll go ahead and put the little white furry stuff on it. Hope that's enough. Okay, and then, you know, I forgot to put the fur on his body, so we may have to take his head off. Let's hope not. Yep, I think we are going to have to take his head off. And I'm going to use my handy dandy piercing tool to work that glue dot off there. Put some glue here for his little tummy tuft of white hair, fur. Okay, now we can put his head back on. Oh gee, I hope that I'm not the only one that does things like this. Alright, now he has a head. And it looks like he got something on his face. Oh good, it's coming off. Must have just been some adhesive or something. Okay, now we're going to do, we don't need the extra eyes, the ears. And one ear apiece here on each side. Just put a dot of glue there. I'm not going to use my tweezers for this because this is hard to do without them. I think I might need a little bit more glue there. Just a tad. What else? I'm going to put his nose where his stamped nose is. I'm going to put his cardstock nose that we punched out. There. Now we're ready to do the tail, and as I was saying, we want to put the tail on him, and we'll do it with a glue dot. So there's our glue dot, and we want to put the tail so that it doesn't go over the side there. Put my glue away. So I'm just going to lay the tail there and kind of set him down on the stump. That way, well, his tail's not it's not as long as that tail, but that's okay. That's alright, it'll work. So now we're going to put him on with, just see if I can get some more of that off of his face there. We're going to put him on with some dimensionals. And I'm going to use the regular size dimensionals for him. There'll be 3. Or her. It could be a little girl fox too. 1 at the top, 1 at the bottom, and 1 on the tail. There. Now before we put him on, or her on, the fox, before we put the fox on, we're going to go ahead and build our card front. And we need a 8.5 by 5.5. This is early espresso, scored at 4.25. And then we have a piece of always artichoke, 4 by 5.25. We'll go ahead and put that on. And then we're ready to put this on the always artichoke. And now we're ready to put our little fox on top of the stump. Okay, so we have our little fox. Now we need to do our leaves. And we're going to need a piece of wild wasabi, 3 inches by 4 inches. And because these little leaves are a very fine die, and it would be difficult to kind of put glue on all of those, I'm going to use the new adhesive sheets that we have. So now we have our wild wasabi piece, and these are the new adhesive sheets that we sell now, and they're really cool. So you pull back the part that has the print on it, and then you just put it, lay your piece of cardstock on top of the sticky part. So then you're going to take your scissors and you're just going to cut where your cardstock is so that you only get sticky on your cardstock. And then you're going to pull the, this comes off, and this is what you're going to die cut 7 of the little leaves, or whatever leaves you're using, and then when you do that, it'll put sticky on the back. Now one thing I noticed is when you do the die cutting, it leaves like little bumps in your leaves. And I used to take the back of my piercing tool and go like this, and I thought this is really kind of tedious. So I got the idea to take my plates, put the leaves or whatever it is that has the bumps on it on here on the plate, and my plate is well loved, as you can see. So then I'm going to put a piece of Whisper White over the leaves, and then put the top plate on and run it through the Big Shot. So what I found by doing that is it gets rid of all those little bumps. And I run it through once and then I run it back through. So you can try that if you want to get rid of the little bumps. Then since we use the adhesive sheets, then all we have to do is take our little pierce tool and pull back that adhesive sheeting, and now we have sticky where so that we can put it on our card. So let me go ahead and get back in our, just for you, we're going to use the smallest stitched oval to cut that out. And this stitched oval is from the Stitched Shapes Framelits dies. And we're going to, this wants to stick to my finger. I'll hold it down with that. So now we need some of the mini, if you have them, you can use the mini Stampin' Dimensionals, but if you don't have them, you could cut some of the bigger ones. I'm going to put one in the middle and then one on each side. And get those little backings off. And then we're going to place it down here, just above, like 1/4 of an inch above the crumb cake. But we want to leave room for our leaves. So I'm going to take my first leaf, I'm going to put it kind of here. And I'll take my next leaf and I'll put it above that one going in this direction. This leaf, I want it to be kind of away from these. And then this leaf is going to go down in this area right here. Whoops, doesn't want to let go. And then we need one more leaf, and we'll put that one kind of right here. Okay, so we have our leaves, and now we need to do the inside sentiment. We've already stamped it, and we're going to put it on a 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 crumb cake. Some snail adhesive. And this is going to go on the inside. Happy birthday. But it could say thank you or anything else, any other message that you wanted to put. And then the last thing we have to do is the last two leaves that we have. Take the backing off of those, and we can just place those wherever we feel that it looks nice. I like that one there. And I like to have one kind of here. So we have happy birthday. Our card is finished. I'll clean up my scraps here. I hope you liked making our cards. I enjoyed it, and check out my blog www.carolbcrafts to get the dimensions of all the paper and cardstock. And thanks for joining me, and have a great day. Bye now.